A scientific oral presentation is a presentation you give verbally to an audience that presents the results of a scientific investigation. In this lesson, you'll learn how you can give a scientific oral presentation that your listeners will enjoy and understand, and that will hopefully earn you an A+. Believe it or not, it is possible to deliver a scientific talk that is fun and exciting. It doesn't have to be dry and boring. The key is in setting up your presentation and keeping it simple. Let's take a look. Here is Daniel. He is about to give his scientific oral presentation in front of his classmates. He has worked on it for a whole week. He begins his presentation by sharing a story about how he's always heard stories of people cooking eggs on the hood of their cars and baking cookies inside their cars at work. He then shows some pictures of cooked eggs and really yummy looking cookies that were baked inside a car while the owner was at work. He then proceeds to explain the method he used to find out how it's possible to cook with your car. After listening to his introduction, don't you feel like you want to continue listening to him? You're not bored, but actually interested in what he has to say, especially since he's got pictures and videos to show. After Daniel finishes his presentation, you ask him what tips he has to help you in preparing and giving your scientific oral presentation. Daniel tells you that he first separates his talk into 4 parts. 1. Introduction. This is where he introduces a problem in a way that his listeners can relate to and also encourages them to want to know the answers as well. 2. Method. This is where he explains how he went about trying to find the answer. 3. Results. This is where he tells his results or what he found out. 4. Conclusion. This section basically summarizes what you said. It's like giving a condensed version of your talk, a very condensed version. Daniel finished his talk in under 10 minutes, so if the intro and conclusion are each 1 minute long, then his method and results can only be 4 minutes each. That's not long at all. Daniel recommends that you tell a story as you give your presentation. Tell personal stories about what you did and what you thought, such as saying, I wanted to find out just how hot it gets inside a parked car, so I decided to install a thermostat inside the car and monitor it every minute for an hour, instead of using boring scientific talk like, the method I used involves a thermostat. Another important thing to keep in mind when giving your presentation is to keep it simple. Daniel says that using complicated words and confusing statistics don't work very well. Well, they work well at putting people to sleep, but simple words and stories make the most impact. You don't need to cram a lot of information into your presentation. Only present the information that relates to your conclusion and story. Whenever possible, use pictures. People like pictures, and pictures can tell a story simply. Oh, and be funny. Daniel continues and now tells you some things to avoid. Avoid looking away from your audience. Don't look at the wall or down at your shoes. Look at your audience and talk to each individual person there. Also avoid using filler words such as like, so, and the like. You should also avoid giving the mathematical details of your investigation. Most people don't want to see the 2 pages of calculations that you did to find your answer. They just want to know what you found. Let's review. A scientific oral presentation is a presentation you give verbally to an audience that presents the results of a scientific investigation. A good scientific oral presentation has 4 parts. 1. Introduction. 2. Method. 3. Results. 4. Conclusion. Here is what you should do. Tell a story. Keep it simple. Only give needed information. Use pictures. Avoid these. Filler words, lengthy calculations, looking at the wall, or anything but your audience.